Curse of the White Corsair, Book 1, 9 Lives Janszoon, Part 4. John Hackett's name be bandied as treason typified, but Coppinger commanded by deeds more vilified. Sir Coppinger's corruption, copped with hate for Englishers, spelt Baltimore's destruction by Arab traffickers. Fueled by a bitter land-grab greed, through water ran a bile. For grudging gain he did the deed and sailed to Lundy Isle, where there to Murat guaranteed rich pickings worth his while. Riches worth the race's while, a few days' expedition, with promises the hostages would give no opposition. Promises no constables with guns and ammunition was waited for the Ottomans, and death or life in prison. No Sassenach was man enough to mount any defences, plus Coppinger was offering to cover all expensive. Sailed 2 ships to County Cork under Hackett's guidance, and disembarking in the dark, readied in the silence. On Baltimore's shingled shore the Corsairs crouched amassed, each cove door a target for a team of 4 with signalled roar to bust with bursting blast. They'd lived there in a bubble, spake Coppinger, aloof, swore no settler trouble, and swore each man was a puff. No man was meant be man enough, but under Curlew's roof was a well-defended hovel, and rough the governor's group. Murat raced first through the gate, trespassed the house in swagger, to where Tim Curlew lay in wait with avenging dagger. The 7th spent as swept away a hanging kitchen curtain, shone moonlight steel on its way straight into Murat's turban. Stabbing through the headdress, glancing off his brow, an inch above a death threat to leave 2 lives left now. Ire steamed off the admiral as blood congealed his beard, a boiling angered animal in throes from being speared. Dripping, staring, raging, atop Tim Curlew's terrace, the look was took as gauging with a hint a bit embarrass, that glaze that spelt the town be razed if 'tweren't for William Harris. Whip-witted William Harris woke and instantly aware to fire upon the pirate yoke while next door banged a snare. What worried sounds up in the dark, an army's marching beat, muskets with the drubbing hark, they teetered on retreat. The holdings fat with ashen cattle for auction in the mart. Too risky be a costly battle, Jan signed a swift depart. Still breathing by his cunning and by fortune and by guile, and by running and by shunning situations deemed hostile. So they beat it out of Baltimore and rode to catch the blow, and by the blaze of Baltimore the locals groaned below. They groaned and wailed and sobbed and sailed, both slavers on their way. They howled and flailed until assailed, till predators pummelled prey. Back from ire packing, slave to sate desire, to learn in lusts now lacking, but Venice stoking fire. Venice sought extension, lands Islam had claimed, and Catholic expansion got the caliphate inflamed. Inflamed enough to banish trade with every papal state, and order every Corsair raid, pontifical freight. So very many galleons were pillaged from the Pope, by Jan and an Italian that the Holy See provoked into shelling their thieved millions on patrolling papal coasts. Seized many Venice vessels for the fat day of Tunis, that the couple christened devils, till one stumbled close to Greece. Murat's fate free fell to falter when planning sacking Crete. By the mighty knights of Malta he humbled with defeat. They vowed to ruin Janszoon for reasons the vendetta. Was tortured deep down in the gloom, the dungeons at Valletta. Was tortured and then ordered by jailers hissing hate to love the good Lord Jesus, else share his dead friend's fate. Shackled to a column in a puddle in Delore, with mates who sailed from Holland, sitting stinking in squalor. Sat with some declining, some were dying, some were dead, and those that still surviving sitting dazed with morbid dread. 3 years losing companions until sat a man alone. 3 years with no companions, morphed into skin and bone by meagre mouldy rations in the Fort St. Angelo. As if he'd gulped a poison pill when died his last shipmate. His crude quintessence sickly ill, to suction life they ate. And on and forth 500 days with no kind visitors. Tormented in 1,000 ways by hospitaliers. Tortured for 500 days by St. John's inquisitors. He suffered, his suffering protracted when extracted off the 8 but stayed alive and active by practising his faith. Alone keeping humanity by his achieved belief, as Allah kept his sanity and lauded him a thief of kufr Christianity, for which he'd reap relief. If sold his soul to Satan, then Allah bought it back and ordered him to wait on a sanctified attack. Emaciated number 9 was weakened with disease, when by the grace of the divine arrived the Genoese. Allah bless my plunder peer, he blessed the brave Italian, once agent for the Fatimir, who'd appeared with a battalion. Yusuf Day had passed away, and Tunis passed to Uster, who'd raced to save his fellow Reis with every man could muster. Appeared he with an army, by the navy, with marines, shelling them so swiftly that they smashed to smithereens the fort for the recovery of the ex-admiral of the fleet. As Allah had have spoken of his deserved reward, so the citadel was broken by Islamic hordes. For decades full of misery, making mullahs millionaires, they'd repaid massed artillery, let the cannons of Corsairs, whence came to claim a victory and answered him his prayers. Then made him beneficiary, viz. Meladea's mare. For the decades of patrolling, oceans tinned with tension, for the tens of thousands stolen, he got a golden pension. For the countless captive Christians, seized by methods mega-violent, to endow the empire billions, he'd earned a lush retirement. Retiring with his concubines, he traded his flotilla for decadence and luxury, and an exquisite villa. For silk and milk-sack pillows, a lascivious livelihood, as his well-worn cigarillo shafted everything it could. A Shah, the cunt, contented, showing criminality paid good. The end of Book 1.